Today we're going to walk through installing a MEGA Live firmware update using your SOLIX or Apex fish finder. Today we're going to be using an Apex, but the operations will be performed the same on your SOLIX fish finder. With firmware update 1.150, you'll experience better jig tracking performance as well as overall performance adds from your MEGA Live transducer. With that said, let's get into installing the update. Before beginning the install, we need to take a few final steps before beginning the firmware installation process. Before we begin, we're going to confirm that we have power turned on to the Ethernet switch and the MEGA Live transducer so the update can be communicated to the MEGA Live transducer. Additionally, we've already confirmed that our unit is running the most current version of software. We have already downloaded the MEGA Live firmware update from humminbird.com, which is found under the support heading and located on the software updates page. We've loaded this update onto a Class 10 SD card 32 gigabytes or smaller. Before we can begin the install process, we are also going to confirm the current MEGA Live firmware version. You must first have 1.130 or 1.140 in order for the unit to accept the update. If not, you will need to complete this process with one of those versions before installing 1.150. We will check the version of the MEGA Live firmware. This screen can be found from the home screen by tapping Settings, then Network, and then selecting System Info, in which we will be able to confirm the current MEGA Live firmware version. Now that we've confirmed we have a compatible previous firmware version on the MEGA Live transducer, we are ready to begin the install update. We'll start this process by inserting the SD card into the Apex or SOLIX unit. From the home screen, go into the Files menu. Here you will see the new MEGA Live 1.15 firmware update listed. Select the file and touch Install Now. The update will begin installing. During the update process, the installing screen will appear on the SOLIX or Apex. This is okay and lets you know that the update is currently underway. During the update process, the updating screen may disappear and be interrupted by sonar source loss notifications. This is okay and part of the unit performing the update. It is important to let the unit perform the update and not interact with these prompts on screen. Note that the install process could take up to 8 minutes. It is very important that you do not pull the SD card out or disconnect the power to the control head, Ethernet switch, or MEGA Live transducer. Doing so may interrupt the update process and require service to your MEGA Live transducer. Once the unit reboots, the MEGA Live transducer should reconnect with the new firmware version installed. We will check that the firmware has successfully installed by again visiting the network page and the system info to show that firmware version 1.15 has been installed. After confirming the successful install of the new firmware, you can remove the SD card from the slot. It is important to note that MEGA Live firmware version 1.150 will change the optimal sonar settings for MEGA Live. To get you started, we recommend the following. Start with a MEGA Live sensitivity set to 15. For greater depths and ranges, more sensitivity may be required. For shallower water, less sensitivity may be needed. For contrast, set the value to 1. It is recommended that you leave this setting at 1. Additionally, dynamic contrast should be set to 1 and it is recommended that you leave this setting at 1. Note that these settings are subject to change in future Apex and SOLIX fish finder updates, but will get you going on the water with this new MEGA Live firmware update. The process is now complete and you can now safely power off your fish finder, Ethernet switch, and MEGA Live.